welcome. Coming to you from the Geek ETC studios, I'm Josh.
And I'm John, and I'm not in the Geek ETC studios. I'm drinking a Dr. Enough.
Ooh, Dr. Enoughs are good. I haven't had one of those in a while.
Made in Johnson City.
There you go. But this is the Geek ETC podcast, where we dive into all things you can geek out about. Hello, buddy.
What's up, Val?
Oh, not a whole lot. Here again, talking about some cool stuff. What's going on? How you been?
Boy. Oh, well, I just got off just got off the phone with a car dealership, as you heard. So.
Oh, yeah, that's right. A little pre-show just for us stuff going down.
Yeah. Me arguing with a guy from like a big dealership of whether I just put brake pads on before my car had to go to the shop, and like, you need new brake pads.
Right.
And then like, you need new wipers, but my wife put brand new wipers on the day it left the shop last time, which was just a few weeks ago. So not a big fan of the Hyundais, I'll just tell you that much.
Ooh, yeah, Hyundai not pulling through today.
Not looking for those endorsements.
No.
From them.
Yeah, I feel like Hyundais have definitely had kind of a mixed bag of quality and quality control and quality assurance throughout their span of existence.
Yeah, and my dad was like, you should get, like, I've got a Santa Fe, it's treating me real well, son, blah, 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 so like, I was like, okay, sure, I'll go with it. I'll get a brand new Tucson back in like 2015 and first new car ever and trying to be, and nothing but problems. It made it to 80,000 miles before the engine went bad. And apparently it's like a common thing with those, and a year on the lot before it got replaced. Just absolutely terrible.
Yeah. My wife's got one as well. And most of any issues initially that we've ever had were just like nails in tires. Like, she collected every nail in the county in all her tires. Like, within, like, it seemed like a month or two, we had replaced all 4 separate times from nails. So, like, that was annoying. But she did also have a time, I think I told you about it, that her driver's seat literally caught on fire.
I didn't hear about that.
No, really? You didn't tell you that story? Oh, my gosh. Yeah, so that was a thing. I was at work, and I got a call. Like, she called me at work, which, if she's, like, calling me, then I'm like, what's going on? Like, there's an emergency or something. Like, what's happening? Because she doesn't ever call me. We'll text and stuff, but an actual phone call, like, something's happening. And she's like, she was off that day. She was home. And so she was freaking out and stuff. And she's like, I don't know what to do. There's smoke coming out of my seat. And I'm like, what do you mean smoke? Like, there's smoke coming out of it? And she, like, FaceTimed me and did a video call. And she's like, goes outside and holds it up to her seat, and where the kind of handle is on the side to like lean the seat back, there's a plastic piece there kind of right on the hinge of the seat, like where it would tilt back, and there's just smoke coming out of it.
Wow.
And I'm like, why is the seat smoking? And like, you don't see it, there's no open flame or anything like that, but obviously your driver's seat isn't supposed to smoke. So I'm trying to like logic through, trying to tell her, and the car's off. Like, she just got in the car wasn't even on, it didn't even start yet. She just got in to like open the door to sit down to leave, and smelled it and saw it. And so I couldn't really, I was gonna try to like instruct her on how to like just first disconnect the battery so that there's no power and stuff, but she's like, I ain't ever done, she hasn't really done any kind of car stuff like that. So I just decided, like, we were slow at work, so I'm like, I'm just gonna come home. I was developing a plan in my head as I drove home, so I just left work for good reason, I suppose, and just like flew home. And when I got here, I think it was still smoking a little bit, but no fire. The car hadn't blown up or anything. But I immediately just ran inside and got my tools and came out and unhooked the battery, unhooked the negative, so that there was no power to the car. So I knew, at least something wouldn't hopefully, escalate and get worse throughout the, whatever was going on. And back in my old car, I had done a lot of work to it, and I had put done a lot of modifications, aftermarket stuff, had put new seats in it. And so the first thing popped in my head, I was like, I know how to take the seats out, so I'm just going to take the whole seat out. and try to isolate whatever's happening just to the seat. That if the seat does end up going in flames, maybe just the seat can sit in the parking lot and just burn itself up or something. And we just lose a seat and not the entire car. So I just went to town undoing the four bolts on the bottom and like the wiring and stuff and got the whole seat out. And by the time like there was no more smoke or anything, but I got the seat out and brought it in the apartment. And basically I was like, I'm just going to take it apart until I can find what happened. And I started to take the whole back off and pulled like the foam out and stuff, and got to the point where I noticed there was this we pulled the back off, and there's this tiny little motor, and there's a big charred spot next to it where there's like stuffed plastic that's melted and the foam is burnt and everything. And turns out that motor it has a adjustable lumbar support in the seat.
Okay.
And the motor that controls that had burnt out. There was a short in it, and it just started to burn the foam inside and catch on fire.
Jeez.
Yeah, so talk about issues. And I looked later, and there's a little button on the side that controls that, but we didn't even know the seat had that, had never used it. And when I looked at the side, the button that does that had kind of been pushed in. The plastic on the outside had kind of fallen inwards, and so I think either getting in and out of the car, it hit it with a knee or a foot or something, and it had kind of knocked that loose, and the plastic was just holding the button down.
Oh, geez. Okay,
And
just burned it right out.
exactly, it just burnt the motor out and eventually just like started catching on fire.
Jeez.
Yeah. So the fact that we had never even used the lumbar thing and probably never were going to use it, I just took it out. I just cut all the wires and took the mechanical thing just out of the back of the seat and then put it all back together. But yeah, we haven't had very great luck with the Hyundais either.
Cars.
Yeah.
They stink. You try to get a new one and they devalue immediately. Right now in 2024, it's still very much a seller's market. Like buyers are still kind of getting jerked around on things. It's not the most fun in the world.
No.
But on a bigger and better thing. So you were talking to me earlier about some stuff going on in the Xbox world. What's going on with that? Because I am clueless.
Oh, well, so apparently it started, I think, with, what was it? That game Hi-Fi Rush that came out. There's a little indie game that was Xbox exclusive, and they said that it was probably going to come to PlayStation. Which, it's kind of a smaller game, indie game, open up a new audience for the developers to make some money and stuff. And, it's kind of reasonable, not that big a deal. Some people were kind of like fussing about it. And then there's a lot of reports and rumors about Starfield coming to PlayStation.
Oh, wow.
Which is, their biggest thing from their acquired company, Bethesda, that Microsoft now owns. That's kind of their big shot deal exclusive. I mean, yeah, it didn't really do great comparative to a lot of other things.
But exclusive is exclusive.
Exactly. Like, exclusives are a big deal. PlayStation for a long time has had some of the best exclusives. And that's kind of been a thing they've held over Xbox for a while. So any exclusives that Xbox gets, a lot of the community's, going to hold on to them and cherish them dearly. And they can be kind of upsetting with them, spreading all that out. And so apparently there's a lot of rumors of a lot of things, and that Xbox potentially could kind of go the way of Sega and just start putting a lot of their stuff out on other consoles. And they would just be kind of a software developer.
Interesting.
Right. And, me and you both have always been Xbox people. We've had Xboxes. We've kind of now transitioning. You've been on the game for a lot longer, but we're transitioning to PC, gaming and stuff. But we both still have Xboxes that we play. And that's been, of the console versions, that's been our preferred method. And a lot of that's due to, I like the controller better.
Yeah, it's about the controller is definitely like a big part of it for me.
Right. If that's not, because my hands are big, and so all the old PlayStation controllers never felt great. I've heard from a couple people at work though that the PS5 controller's like where it's at. That it's like amazing. The new one. Part of that has to do with the force feedback in the triggers that the Xbox doesn't have. Like, it actually has resistance and different feedback in the triggers themselves, which they say is awesome.
Okay. I
So
like that.
that seems pretty cool. But yeah, like how do you feel about the fact like if they just didn't make a actual Xbox console anymore, or maybe some simple thing or something, but they primarily just kind of went the route of like Game Pass and they just had their games available on Switch or anything else.
I don't know. I don't know how Microsoft. I mean, the independent game developers are the ones making money off of selling the games, correct? So how would that make a lot of sense? Like, how would that be super viable for them to, in turn?
Well, it's basically like I mean, Microsoft makes money off of all of it.
Yeah, but if you were just like, well, I'm just gonna. I don't see that being like a viable thing for them.
Well, I mean, because Microsoft, what they do, like outside of the Xbox brand, Microsoft is a software thing between their operating systems and their Office, like 360 things. Like they are really they've been a software thing for a while. Apparently, I think like I don't know if it's last year or something, but Microsoft made like their profit was only 14 billion, I think, whereas their Xbox department's profit was only 4 billion. Oh no. Less
Yeah.
billions of dollars, but I
Well, something to think about there, though. Microsoft, you're talking about Microsoft in general, correct?
right.
So, Microsoft also, you got to remember, they have a defense division. They
Mm-hmm.
have all the like every business in the United States probably uses some form of Microsoft's
Right.
studios, Excel, all that kind of stuff. Now, Google is obviously a competitor to that with Google Sheets and Google Docs and doing all that stuff. But everybody still uses like Windows programming because it's the easiest thing to use. So they're like,
Yeah.
I do think, but that a bit 4 billion is a big chunk. And so the idea that they're not making money like off of sales within, because if they, it just seems that seems just weird to me. Because I mean, obviously Nintendo still has the Switch, they still have all their other stuff, but I think people like Xbox for its own Xbox thing, i.e., they liked the way the Xbox was laid out. They like the
Right.
controller. They like the things that go into it. They like the apps that you can get on there. Now, everything's got the smart, you know, TV or smart console type of thing where you can watch
They've got all
movies
the
or go to
apps and
Netflix
everything.
and got all the apps. But I feel like I don't have anything wrong with PlayStation making its money or, Sony. I mean, good on them. Do your thing, King. But if they're like the main competitor, I don't know why they would try to go that way,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because everybody's just going to stop developing, and then I don't understand how it's viable at all for Microsoft in the future.
Right. Yeah. Like I don't exactly know all the details of it, but it's been there's been a lot of drama around it in the past couple days, by past week, particularly with and Phil Spencer, like the head of Xbox, um, said something or like tweeted out or posted on X something about like we're putting together a meeting for next week to kind of fill everybody in on our new business strategies type of thing. Like he used a line that he's used like a ton of times of like, we hear you clearly and are working for you kind of thing. So like we're listening basically, and he's like said that same thing multiple times apparently. But
I mean, I guess I'm not a good person to like ask the question, like, or I'm not a good person to like because um I've not been playing my Xbox for a while now.
right.
So like I don't understand though how are they not doing good at all?
I think it's just mostly the issues of uh like exclusives and stuff that they've just again PlayStation in the past generations have just dominated them on exclusives and things. And in the gaming world, there's obviously like people get caught up on their uh loyalties and stuff. I think like you, I'm in the place now that like I think having a PC that can actually play games now, it's definitely changed my thoughts on that. That there's you can pretty much play any game that comes out on PC
Yeah.
for the most part, anything that I want to play. So I'm not necessarily as nailed down to a particular console that I used to be, because back in the day, yeah, like that's the only ones that Halo was coming out on. Those are the only ones that Mass Effect was coming out on. A lot of those kinds of things. And again, I liked the controllers. I liked the ecosystem. All my friends at the times, we had Xboxes, so my friends were on there to play with, and
Hmm.
that's just what I had. But you know, now, like I said, you can play anything on PC, and at, the most of the use of my Xbox has been from the wife. Like she's been playing either like Baldur's Gate, or she's actually really got into this new game Palworld. I don't know if you've seen anything about it or not,
I have, yeah.
and which it is dominating the gaming world right now. Whether or not they may end up getting sued by Nintendo or the Pokemon Company, but it's basically Ark Survival Evolved meets Pokemon, which is an interesting concept. And I've actually watched her play it a good bit, and it definitely seems interesting. They basically just gave players, what they want. They wanted a Pokemon game that actually looks halfway decent, plays pretty good, but you also have guns in them, and this kind of progression leveling up thing that Ark does, where you unlock different blueprints and engrams to build, and there's a huge crafting component to it, just like Ark. And you can like ride the Pokemon, the pals. Sorry, I don't want to get sued or something.
Don't let's not. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it didn't take long, and it completely demolished the Steam charts for like number of concurrent players at one time. Like the previous, I think top one was Cyberpunk at like 1 million something, and this hit 2 million. And so there's 2 million people playing this game all at the same time just on Steam. And then it's on Game Pass on Xbox, so everyone can just download it and play it. And it has multiplayer and a bunch of other things. So it's completely dominating the gaming stuff at the moment. So that's
Yeah,
pretty
I
cool.
don't tell me more about Pal Worlds because I've only seen some of it. So like,
Well, I guess to close up the everything, like I'm at the point I don't have much loyalty to a console anymore. I don't really care what things a game comes out on, because again, we're probably going to get to play it on PC, and it is what it is.
true.
But yeah, but Power World, yeah, you start out kind of with it bare bones, on this island, or on this group of islands. Again, just like Ark, you kind of just wake up, and but you're in this world, and there's all these little creatures roaming around, and you start out, punching trees, you know, just channeling Minecraft or Ark or something like that, and start at the bottom in the Stone Age type of thing, hatchets and pickaxes, and eventually move up to like the Stone Age and the wood. You get the wooden stuff, and then move up to the better crafting things. But you have like benches where you craft their equivalency of Pokeballs, or they're like Pow balls or whatever, and then you go out. But normally in Pokemon, to catch them, you weaken them down to a point, and then you throw the ball at them to catch them. Because it operates the same way in this. There's a percentage, like when you pull up the ball to throw it at them, it'll show you what your percentage to catch them is. And if you just go up to them from the get go, it might say like 5% or like 0.01% if it's a higher level one or something. And if you had already caught one, you can throw them out and they'll fight, and you can do that. Or you can pull out your club that you have and just start beating it in the face. And you just beat this little like round sheep in the face till its health bar goes down far enough, and then you just chuck a ball at its face and catch it. So that's usually like your first one. And then mix between that and your pals that you have that you can send out to fight. You just catch as many as you can and train them up fighting other things.
Now there are other trainers out there.
So you can play in a world just by yourself, like a single
Okay.
player thing, but they do have like online servers, I think. But just like any of those other games that have public servers, there's a good chance your stuff is going to get raided and burnt to the ground and destroyed. So unless you have I don't know if you can do private servers or not, but you might be able to. I'm not sure. But yeah, she's just my wife. She's just playing by herself at the moment and having a lot of fun with it, though.
Well, I mean that's cool. So can you shoot the other players?
Yeah, I think so. I think that I think it would have PvP in it. I haven't seen much gameplay that had multiple people in it that weren't like working together
Hmm.
kind of thing. That they were just I've seen some streamers play it and there's just like a husband and wife that they were just playing together. But yeah, I haven't seen any real kind of PvP stuff. I saw a couple clips on YouTube that someone built this huge like mansion castle thing out of wood and then like went off somewhere and came back to it all burning down.
Oh wow.
So yeah, that kind of sucks.
Palworld raids. You
Yeah,
know, I never played Rust, and you and I have played Ark, but mostly I've only played Ark with you in a manner where we were um working together. Like we've never really played. I think
yeah,
we went into a PvP server like once.
yeah,
Uh, but that's wild to me to that you would have uh this Pal World. I'm imagining the big raids or the way people build their bases, especially since they get those meta bases that are just really hard for people to deal with and things.
yeah.
It would be just hilarious
And
to
there's
me.
also NPC raids that will happen every now and then that
Oh
you'll be
no.
there and you'll just suddenly see, oh, you're getting raided by a band of wild pals, and it'll just be a group of just like wild pals that just come and just try to break into your place and kill all your stuff. But sometimes there's like there's NPC like bandits around the map too that you have to fight, and they'll
Oh, so
just
there's people there. There's towns and stuff like a
yeah.
Minecraft or
There's like
something.
little like villages and stuff. But there's like shopkeepers that you can buy and sell stuff and
Okay, because
everything.
that's
Yeah.
how you get your guns.
Well, that's just through like just like in Ark, there'd be a crafting an Ingram to unlock for the assault rifle, and then you build a table to build that one, and you collect the components of it, the raw materials to build it and everything. So you have to build all of it from scratch, kind of work your way up the progression chain, just like in Ark.
Hmm, I like that.
Yeah, it's
Very
pretty
interesting.
interesting.
It
But
is
yeah,
pretty interesting.
I don't know if I would think if there was some kind of lawsuit or something going to happen, Nintendo would have done it by now. I mean, they've sold I don't know how many millions of copies, and they've had millions of players at this point. Like, it seems like you're kind of losing your chance here for
Yeah.
anything to happen with it. I don't know what the timeline on litigations and stuff is, but we'll see if anything develops from that.
Gosh. Wow. Yeah, I don't know, man. That is wild to think about that's like an actual thing that's come out recently.
Yeah, it's been
And
one of the
any of that Pokemon stuff is like remember when Pokemon Go came out, just how wild it went. Like anything that's like kind of cute like that automatically uh what was that one game that was really big on the Switch that was like you had your own little
Animal Crossing.
islands, Animal Crossing, right? Just any
Yeah,
of that kind of stuff and that same guys with the same animation or whatever is um
people enjoy that for sure.
yeah, my wife plays Stardew Valley a lot,
Oh
which
yeah,
is obviously a little more 8-bit or whatever, but she loves that
oh
stuff.
yeah, yeah. Mine has played I don't know how many hours in that game, like countless at this point. Mm.
um well, I don't know. I don't know think about Xbox. Is Pal Worlds available on PC?
Yeah, it's on Steam.
Oh man. I'm looking that up right now while we're talking.
Yeah, but as I said, graphically, like it looks very graphically similar to like Fortnite, and I almost wonder if it at some point, like I could see it going the same route that Fortnite did, where Fortnite originally was just a like wave based zombie survival game when it first was announced
Oh my god.
way back in the day. And so, and obviously you look at it now and it's like the biggest game that there is. And it is it's nothing complete. It's nothing like what it was initially intended to be. So I almost could see an outcome where Power World, like that sort of engine and environment they have, gets expanded on over time and they keep adding features or game modes or different things to it.
Yeah, well, man, I looked at one of these, and man, if that's not almost identical to one of the Pokemon, it looks
Oh yeah, as far
God.
as the creatures themselves, like so many of them, you look at them, you're like, well, that part is from a Sylveon, and that part is from an Eevee, and this part is Vulpix. Like, they're pretty dang close, a lot of them. And I think that's where a lot of the, like, Nintendo potential stuff might be coming out of. And then, obviously, the whole fact of you're throwing a ball to capture these creatures in the thing. Like, it's obvious Pokemon ripoff, but is there enough variance in the assets that would, prevent any kind of lawsuits or anything as, like, new creative intellectual property?
Well, it's not on GE Force now, so
Oh, well,
I
shoot.
can't play it on GE Force now, unfortunately.
Although it may only be like a gigabyte or two. I'm not sure. I don't know what the download size is on.
It's only $29. It's realistically not that bad.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not even like a high-end full-priced game like a lot of things, which is cool.
You were also talking about Papa Henry Cavill earlier, and I guess it was the first time you had seen that they were talking about having Henry Cavill come in to direct the new 40K.
Oh, right, yeah. I saw that the headline. I caught my eyes that I guess that he just said something. I don't know if it was an interview or something that he had the other day, but just that it was the greatest privilege of his professional career to head up the cinematic universe on that, which, having been Superman multiple times over and Geralt in The Witcher, which was amazing, and he talked about how much he loved doing that. The fact that the Warhammer is like his greatest privilege, I feel like that says a lot.
Yeah, well, and he loves it. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I like that Henry is a legit geek, and he's also one of those guys that's really good about talking about what he loves. I want to dedicate an entire episode to Warhammer 40K. I know you don't know as much about it,
but I would like to know more about it.
It's just one for me, like I just get really into interesting lore trends, and there has been. I was into it before when I was just reading a lot of stuff, but now there's actually a lot of YouTube channels, and you watch them, and they put together these beautiful and like cinematic things. And this I think the thing I like about it is the scale. The scale is just so wild that
True.
it defies like any other thing. Where like one battle is like billions of people dying at a time, and the whole grimdark thing, it just cracks me up, and I really enjoy it. And then when you actually watch the tabletop gameplay, which I don't know if Henry plays a lot of, but I know he likes making the models, and so obviously he reads the books, and I think he's an Adeptus Custodes player, which is like the Imperial Guard for the um, they're their own. They're not part of the Space Marines. They're not part of the Imperial Guard. They're like the Royal Guard on Terra for the Imperium of Man. And so they're like these huge hulking guys in power suits with like long chainsaw halberds that also have a gun attached to the end of it,
Right.
that shoots rocket ammo out. Like shoots a bullet that has a rocket, like gyrojets. Like it's the world where gyrojets actually worked. But it's just such a neat thing. I'm so excited to see what he has to do, because I don't know that if I think I hate boycotting things just because sometimes I do want to see what's out there, but I think I'm going to wind up boycotting the next season of The Witcher on my own end, just because I hate that. I I love that Henry is so passionate about stuff that he's willing to leave if people abandon the original material. And as somebody that
Right.
wants to be a writer and is working at that, and to see that he appreciates somebody else's work so much so that he's not willing to compromise that just for the sake of like doing things cheaper
Or
or
just getting another paycheck for another season of a show.
which has been like a issue with a lot of things.
The
Like,
Walking Dead, I feel like, is a victim to that, probably.
well, I'm even going to say the Star Wars, most of the
Oh
Star
yeah,
Wars
for
series.
sure. Oh, for sure. Disney
Man,
acquired them, and they just wanted to make bank off of them, so they just
that's it,
made more of them.
100%. And so man,
That's a great example.
so I'm really excited for that. So you don't know anything about 40K?
Not as far as like really the lore, the universe of it, or anything. I mean, I've seen some things. I started to watch some gameplay from a Twitch streamer on one of the new games, I think Rogue Trader, that just came out. I
Okay.
got maybe like it's only like 30 minutes into the his playthrough of that before I just had to go do something else, and I haven't dove back into it. But that was, I was gonna kind of try to use that as somewhat of an introduction to the some of the universal mechanics or things, because that's a
Hmm.
CRPG just like Baldur's Gate. And so I was like,
Yes.
I've, obviously Baldur's Gate's been my like game of the year. And so I was like, I wonder what this other CRPG looks like. So I was going to watch some of that to kind of get an idea about it, but I haven't had a chance to dive back into it yet.
Yeah, I think you would like it, especially like if you I could see you, especially as much as you love mech suits and you're a weeb, I think
What?
you would really love the Tau. I think they would be like your thing because they're really clean sci-fi. I like them too. I think they're pretty neat. They're kind of like the space commies is what everybody thinks of them as, but they're really like space Japanese people, like aliens.
Hmm.
There's a lot of interesting memes and everything that go around them, but they've got really cool mech suits and like like everything else, like the space elves and some of the other stuff. And then once are kind of futuristic looking, but when you get into like orcs and space marines and imperial guard and all this stuff, it all looks like stuff you've seen before,
Yeah.
and some of it comically so. Like the orcs, the lore that goes behind them is just, they paint things, the red's the fastest color, so they paint things red and it actually goes faster because a lot of their things are powered off of their belief. So if they believe that something is happening, like if they believe a thing can fly, it'll just fly like magically.
Mm.
So like it'll
So
paint things yellow because it makes the bigger explosions, or
interesting.
y-
First thing popped in my head was the Kuatoa, the fish people
they're
from D
very
and D.
they're very much like
That
that.
like all their gods are a lot of things are manifested just from out of sheer belief
Mhm.
from the Kuatoa race, the fish people, that they just believe things into existence.
Yeah, that is what they do. That is how they act. They just whatever whatever they see or whatever they think will work. Like they won't run out of ammo unless they think they're running out of ammo. I think there was like a hilarious story in one of the books, or maybe anecdotal, that like some guy was surrounded by like a human was surrounded by orcs, and he ran out of ammo, so he just pointed his finger at them and was like bang and bang, and he was killing them with just his fingers like they were
So
actually
he pulled the
dying.
Chuck Norris.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's pretty funny. If you believe in
yeah.
it hard enough, it'll happen. Mm.
Um, it's I would love to see what he does with that because it is such a grim, dark thing, um, that I think the people who really enjoy it are just going to be so psyched to hop on board and watch that stuff.
Yeah, whatever media comes out of that, for sure. Like like knowing, it'll probably grab on and get a bigger audience, knowing that it was done with care to the like original media and stuff. Like somebody who actually cares about that as a property, put the effort and time into it.
Oh, yeah, they're gonna be all over it, I think. I think anybody that's actually a fan is gonna be happy to hop
It'd be
on
cool to
board.
see, obviously in the past number of years, maybe 5, 6, 7 years or so, has really we've seen the growth of Dungeons and Dragons. And
Mhm.
it used to be the most nerdy thing you could do. That and World of Warcraft were like the two nerdiest things you could ever do, and you got made fun of for it if you did it. But with the obviously the boost from things like Critical Role or some of those things, and a lot of the other podcasts now,
Hopefully, our future podcast.
yes. But Dungeons and Dragons, there was a movie that just came out, Honor Among Thieves. It just came out. I guess it's been a minute, but anyway, like D&D's like cool now. It's a fun game that a lot of people are into. Baldur's Gate 3 has brought an even bigger audience into it. So it would be cool to see the Warhammer thing kind of have the same treatment, that have some new, media types, either games or movies or TV shows come out around it and start to build this interest in that universe as well. Because I feel like there could be some cool stuff from it.
100%. There could be some cool stuff come from it. Yeah, I'm more than excited to see, like, I think there would have to be a lot of serious. I think a movie could be interesting, especially, like, even like a Fall of Cadia, or like, which is this planet in the Warhammer universe that's, really popular, where, like, chaos I think the chaos and the Tyranids, which are kind of like this organic flesh-eating dinosaur bug swarm, or chaos, which is like literal abominations and demonic things. um I think them as like enemies would make things like real interesting. Like, if you depends on the demons. Like, there's one like Slanesh, and she's like literally lust personified, and I don't even think there's some websites that can handle that.
Uh-oh.
So, but espe there's a lot of stuff there. The books, there's so many books, and there's so many things that they talk about in all of them. Um, yeah, I'm pretty psyched about it. I did wanna mention real quick though, before I forget, uh, just because we're talking about watching that, I wanna see, hopefully some movies, hopefully some series with that on good streaming services. But man, once again, Apple Plus, I just want to say I've been watching SEE, which stars Jason Momoa on Apple Plus, and man, violence on that is one of the most violent shows I've watched, but like very John Wick
Mm,
style. I think you would like it.
interesting.
It is a world, so it's Earth, uh,
Yeah.
hundreds of years in the future, where people have lost. There was like some virus that hit, and it made everybody blind, and
Ooh.
civilization has like gone downhill. And so people like live in like the remnants of cities, or have their own little towns or whatever, but everybody's blind almost. Like 99% of the population is blind. But there's some sighted people out there, and they're hunted. So just watching the way, and it's not all one to one, it's not all 100% correct, but they do definitely give a lot of credence to the fact that everybody's blind in the show, quote unquote. So Jason Momoa is like this blind guy, and he just the way that they're fighting and like throwing things down and getting people's attention. He's always like kind of like wrestle walking everywhere, and like walking like a gorilla, and he's got katanas and stuff, and very it's like a almost more violent version of John Wick as far as
Mm,
that goes. Like the blade play and everything that goes into that, it's a lot of fun. Definitely worth the watch. Apple Plus, killing it.
interesting. Interesting recommendation. So, if any of y'all out there have seen that, tell us what you think about it. You can send us a message over on our Instagram at Geek ETC Podcast and let us know if you've seen that show, what you think about it.
Yeah, if you've seen it.
I see what you did there. That's the name of
Yeah.
the show.
Um yeah. Speaking of, like, also going back to 40K for a second, we talked about models. I know my wife got me some cool models that I need to paint. I know you've got some models, and we need to get our friend Ben back on here.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. I'm sure, put any of our model making to shame. The stuff I see some of his posts on his Instagram. What is this? Is it Sci-Fi or Die?
Sci-Fi or Die, yeah.
Yeah, on Instagram. Look him up. Some of his things. He did one where he recreated like some kind of alleyway or like some street side thing that was like from, I forget where it was from, but he had a picture of some location and recreated it, and it was like the same thing. It was wild. But I really like his stuff that he has on there.
And but he also, and I posted the day I think it came out or we got it, but remember he also made us this awesome dice tower that we have. And
Oh yeah,
so
I haven't
we
seen that
need
in
to get
person
him
yet.
on here and do like an entire, because I need to know what I'm doing before I start painting. You kind of know what you're doing, but he
Well, mine I
definitely
don't have to
seems to.
paint, thankfully.
Well, that helps.
Yeah,
And he says he hates painting, but he's still probably better at it than I
I was
am.
saying it looks like he does a dang good job. So I don't know what he's talking about. I guess you can be good at something and not enjoy it per se.
True. Yeah. Yeah. He does a great job, and I'm interested to see that. It'd be also a good primer for anybody else that's drifting into the like, how do I start crafting or how do I start doing mini? Because like you said, D&D has taken off, so people are playing at home or they're using the Roll20 route, but if you're playing at home and you've got your miniatures and you're trying to do them, man, I would like to be able to paint them myself. As a DM, I think it'd be nice to know how to do that and put them together.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm looking at a photo on his Instagram of the dice tower now. That is, they got the little moss on there and little
Yep.
arrows stuck in the side.
Yeah, it
That
works
that
too.
is crazy. That's awesome. Well, cool, man.
Uh,
But yeah,
what about
I really want to put these Gundam models I have here together. I'm still working on my setup, but I had mentioned to you that I'd like to stream it. We have a Twitch account now that we haven't used it for anything because I'm still working on some technical things. Oh, in related to that, I've, as you're well aware, and we've fell victim to it many times trying to record things, my computer had an issue where we'd be in the middle of recording something and it would just shut down. And it would, like, the fans would go into overdrive, all the monitors would cut off, and then the computer would just shut down, and I'd have to completely restart whatever we were doing. And so we've, like, lost some gameplay stuff we tried recording because of that. It shut down in our D&D game last Saturday like 3 times, to the point where I just gave up and played on my laptop.
shout out, what's the issue? That power block? What is
So
it? The power supply?
My determination was that I have so many peripherals and monitors and things hooked up that I think it was just, there's too much of a power draw on the power supply unit of the PC and it couldn't keep up. And I think if the graphics card had just a half a second of not enough power to it, it would go into some kind of fail-safe mode and just completely shut everything down. And so because it never happened when I first got it, but I also didn't have anything but like a monitor hooked up to it. So I think that was the problem. So I got me a higher end, like a name brand Corsair power supply unit and swapped that out the other night. And so far, I mean, I haven't put it through super rigorous tests yet, and I think only time will tell. We may have to play some Rome Total War to really test it. I think that'd be the way to, because that's one of the biggest culprits the past few times. But haven't had any issues yet. I went from like a 600 watt to an 850 watt for anybody curious about the PC specs, but I'm crossing my fingers that was the issue and hopefully won't have any more problems out of it. But yeah, back to what I was saying, because of that, it's kind of delayed a lot of other projects that I've had in mind, in relations to, streaming on our Twitch channel that we have, and also recording some other supplemental content to either put on our Patreon or just on our YouTube. I've got like a big list of stuff to do, but just haven't been able to do it because my computer's been down and out. So, like I said, thankfully, hopefully that's fixed now, and hopefully I can, get on all these projects that we want to do and start putting out some more of that extra stuff.
That's the goal.
For sure.
Put out all of the stuff.
All the stuff.
Let's see. Have you been into anything else? Watched anything else recently?
I've a lot of my spare time. I haven't really had any time to watch anything because I've been surprised. I've been doing I have like 2 concurrent Baldur's Gate playthroughs I'm doing right now, in addition to the ones that we're doing. So we have our honor mode one, that I'm recording, and our playthrough of that is, we think we've got 4 episodes available on our Patreon as well, patreon.com/geekedc podcast. You can go and watch the first 4 videos of our honor mode, which is the super hard difficulty. Only one save file. You can't save scum. You can't load into it. You have to keep decisions you make. Everything's harder to beat. Got the 4 on there. Got more episodes coming up soon. Now that my computer's working again, I can get the other ones edited and uploaded. But you can go, subscribe on our Patreon and get access to those. They're very entertaining. They're good for good watch. Yeah, we've got that, but I've got my own. I've got my single player Dark Urge run that I'm doing, and a sort of min-max run where I went on the custom game mode and just made all the settings in my favor as far as like difficulty. I just tried to make my characters just as overpowered as possible just to see what that would be like. and it's actually been an incredibly fun playthrough. And I've been kind of doing 100% run, like doing every little thing you can in there,
Oh
in
wow,
every little
that's a
spot.
lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. I just made it to Act 3, so I'm just at Joaquin's Rest. So
I would be interested to see some of the mods as well. Like I know there's like an artificer mod. I think that would be
that's
pretty cool.
something that, yeah, I think would be cool that we could check out is if we did a modded playthrough on PC, because I saw that there's like SMR classes and stuff. I think that would be pretty fun to play as, because they have some pretty cool, they can fly and they have some pretty cool stuff you can do. But yeah, there's a bunch of other cool mods. There's like the unlimited party mod where you can just have all the companions. So you can have like a 6-7 person thing, and if you did that on like a really hard difficulty, it might could be pretty fun. So you don't have to like miss out on certain character storylines or dialogues. You just have all the companions there.
That's actually interesting to think about there.
Yeah,
Um, because but man, I feel like you'd be so OP if you had your full squad there.
that's what I'm
You
saying. You'd
know,
have to like do it on honor mode, or just do a custom one and just make it. It'd probably be a custom one would be the best. Just do custom and just make it as hard as possible.
is there that setting? Is there a way to do that?
Yeah, this thing, the custom mode, you can just tweak all the settings and stuff in there, so you
Oh,
can go, either way, easy or hard. You can basically make it into the honor mode with all the hardest difficulty stuff, but you can actually just save and keep playing if you want to.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I've definitely enjoyed the challenge in our honor mode that we've got to so far.
Yeah.
You really have to think of it more as like a strategy game and like a puzzle, and you got to take your time. Like combat's a lot slower, but you got to like think things out and plan stuff out what you're doing. But that makes it really fun, I think.
I think so too. Especially, I mean, we ran into for anybody that's not played Baldur's Gate 3. There is an owlbear. So if you guys have watched the D&D game or the D&D movie, there's an owlbear in that, and it's just this giant
What it sounds like.
face face of a owl, body of a bear with like neck feathers.
Yeah.
Essentially, pretty weird. It's got a big old beak on it. It's a pretty tough character for low level creatures, but like in Baldur's Gate, it's pretty easy to beat. And then when we went to go fight it, we had to run because it brought in a whole nother one,
Yeah.
and it was like obviously going to one shot us, and we're like, oh, we can't just deal with. So it's actually a game where it is difficult, and like we had to take that into consideration.
Yeah, and from what I understand, it was basically like the honor mode added legendary actions which weren't available in the other difficulties, and that was the one for the like a mom owl bear, is it yelled out like a scream, and then the like dad owl bear shows up, which we were not expecting and didn't know it was a thing. And I've since seen a few like YouTube shorts of other people running, like having that same like a reaction to that same moment that happened, and they're like, "Oh no!" It's like I was not prepared for this. I did not know this was a thing, and then they immediately get destroyed.
Man,
So and there's, from what I understand, again I haven't seen much other, but a lot of different quote unquote boss fights in Baldur's Gate like have those same type of like legendary action things that you only see in the honor mode. So that's one thing I'm really excited to get to those things and see kind of what stuff happens that we have never seen before.
we had to make it there first. That's the big
That's
issue.
the tough part. There
That
was
is the
one guy on YouTube that's got pretty big during the early access stuff right before release and everything. I forget what is his. I have to remember what his channel is. But he apparently did a honor mode playthrough. I think he was streaming it or something, and he literally got to the final boss with like one hit remaining, and he accidentally, from what I understand, he accidentally like walked over a spore grenade or something.
Yeah, and it went off.
And so then he like, just due to the nature of the thing, he got lethargic from the haste spell, like running out. He like had haste and then walked to the thing and it made it cancel out or something. And so he got lethargic and wasted his turn. Like it was his turn and he just had to hit it one more time. And then it went to the the big bad, and it like one shot killed him and ended the run at the very end.
I mean, that's cool though. That's cool that that happened, honestly. If you know, that it's cool that that can happen. Like, you can't just people find it difficult to do that kind of thing sometimes. Um, you know, speaking of fantasy, we talked about Baldur's Gate probably ad nauseum, and some of you guys probably tired of hearing about it. But I also want to bring up, I think I've talked about it before, is I am getting really into Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archive and reading, and I just want to say I finished Word of Radiance fairly recently, which is the third book in that series, and I keep getting blown away with just how good it is. And kind of like how we talked about Henry Cavill earlier,
Mm-hmm.
he seems to have like a really good grip on what he is willing to allow in regards to published media, like movies or series. And I don't think he's willing to compromise. And I'm so excited if there's something that finally comes out. I remember the other day just I was actually thinking like, who would be a good who would be a good character? Who would play like who should play Kaladin? Who should play Dalinar? Who should play these people in like the Stormlight Archive? And I've not been this excited about a book series for a while. Now listening to it, if you guys are book on tape folks, or book on tape, if you guys are
Old
audiobooks,
book on tape. Yeah, go to your
oh
local
boy,
library and rent the latest book
I
on
wonder
tape.
I wonder how many cassettes it would take, because so this one, I think Word of Radiance was somewhere around 40 something hours, 50 hours to listen to, with like 130 chapters, something along those lines. So I wonder how many cassettes like it would take to hold all that. Like 20?
Stand by.
You're gonna do the math for me?
I'll see what I can come up with, but
But I just want to say too that he has also posted that he's releasing a new book and a brand new series called The Sunlit Man. And I've not read the Mistborn series or any of the other ones. I'm just strictly into the Stormlight Archive. But seeing as The Sunlit Man is going to be like a new start, maybe like a new trilogy he's doing, I'm probably going to check that out when it releases. So go to his page, Dragonsteel Books, and look into that. He's also got some sick leather bound books that are pretty pricey right now, but if you're as big a fan of him as I am, um, it might be worth it to get like one or two of those.
you said how many hours was it?
So let me just look at. Hold on, I'll Word
Well,
of Radiance is the last book.
because one thing I just pulled up, like a standard cassette tape back in the day could hold, I don't know, I think if this was on per side, but it was 90 minutes.
So okay, so Word of Radiance is 48 hours and 13 minutes.
Jeez. Good. So quite a few tapes, needless to say. Quite a few tapes. Also, just to clear up what I talked about before, the YouTuber thing I think was Wolfheart FPS. I think he was.
Oh yeah, yeah. Wolfheart does a good job. Yeah,
he does have a lot of good videos.
Yeah, he was one of the originals
Yeah.
for getting into Baldur's Gate 3 play.
Yeah.
That's funny, man. I just saw something interesting too, just since we're talking. I know we don't talk about a lot of other podcasts on here, but I know we've mentioned Joe Rogan before.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, he is back on Apple now. And
what?
Yeah, he is back on Apple, and he's going to have full episodes on YouTube again. So
how? I mean, what happened to the Spotify?
I don't know. That was within the last 20 minutes. So
really?
Yep. So pretty interesting.
That's wild.
That is wild.
Yeah, because like I thought that was like a 10-year deal or something that they had.
It was definitely for several years.
Maybe it was like it hasn't been 5 years since that happened, has it?
No, not by any stretch.
Yeah, time doesn't mean anything anymore, so who knows?
Time doesn't really exist. It's just a construct that we have.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
But it doesn't make sense, really. Because right now it's getting dark.
It is getting dark. I can see that, yeah. I see you on our little webcam here. You're just like a shadow of a face.
The bearded shadow in the dark.
That's your next book, The Bearded Shadow.
My next book is actually Descended. By the way, did I tell you that the book that I'm writing, one of the books I'm writing, Descended, I've decided to make it a full-on sci-fi and fantasy book. So it'll be like
Both?
sci-fi. Yeah, so it's gonna be sci-fi, right? Because it's like in a dystopian future. But I'm creating a magic system, and like essentially somebody's gonna get uncovered that's from the past, like far past, like from a high fantasy setting. And so it's gonna be kind of like a special forces with a wizard type of thing from the past. Um, so we'll see how that goes. I'm pretty
Hmm.
excited about it.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I think the magic system's pretty cool. I've been kind of workshopping that some. Um, to make it pretty cool. And then I'm also gonna have a book from the past, like from the high fantasy setting, which is gonna star it's gonna be semi-related, but not really, but um kind of like the last character I played in that D&D 5e campaign with you and
Hmm.
um on that Sunday that we used to
Yeah.
play, where I'm a bounty hunter of mages. And I think like there's gonna be like a vague crossover, but it's gonna be interesting to see. But I'm trying to workshop all that right now. So hopefully I just need to finish that.
That's cool. Well, nice. I'll be excited to see if something comes from that.
Yeah, you're saying that because you know it's not gonna happen, but I'm working on it. I'm
Everything takes
trying.
time. The
It
longest journey
does.
begins with a single step.
Well, and then the way of the word of king, or sorry, the way of kings from Brandon, the first book of the Stormlight Archive. The most important step a man can take is the next one.
Ooh.
And
Oh,
yeah,
I
you
think
gotta.
that's awesome.
It's a good series, man. It's got also some like real good values in it that are like kind of brought forth, like some like interesting ideology that I like, and some kind of like interesting virtue that I also enjoy. Just a really, really good series. Stormlight Archive, Brandon Sanderson. If you're a reader, read it. If not, I suggest audiobook because it has two um, voice actors and they're phenomenal.
Ooh,
And
nice.
they are they've been the same voice actors throughout the series so far. So they did the first book, second book, and third book, and I'm excited to start the fourth book. And
Nice.
he's also a very prolific writer. He was the guy that was picked to finish the Wheel of Time series by the widow of the author. Like he completed all that. He's constantly writing books. Like he's got an entire like uh chronology of when he's going to finish books, like all
Mm-hmm.
the way up to like 2030 or something stupid
Oh,
like that.
dang.
And so like it's not like a George R.R. Martin, which I mean, God
Wouldn't.
love him,
Yeah,
Game of
right.
Thrones, but we're still waiting on the last two books kind of thing. So
If it'll ever happen. We'll see.
we'll see. We'll see.
Well, I think with his what was his quote again?
The most important step a man can take is the next one.
Right. I think that's a good quote to end on for today.
Okay.
We
Well, it
will.
was good talking to you.
Yes.
I'm looking. We got to get some more recording in. We've got some actual good episode, like planned episode ideas that we got to get on. Life's just been a little wonky.
That's all right. Life is life. You know,
Life is life.
We keep taking those next steps, and we'll get there eventually, wherever there is.
Journey before destination.
Indeed, and every journey
Also,
is better when you have companions, because
that's right. Geeks fight better together.
they do. And with that, always remember to keep geeking out.